Hey everybody, this is the Lonely Writers Vlog. The reason this video is uploaded late, which most of you probably don't even know, uh, I typically upload these videos on a Friday, and the reason I did is because I got to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was really cool. So I'm doing this; it'll be uploaded Tuesday, and then I have my other video Friday, my regular schedule, I guess. But the reason this is talking about like how long breaks suck is because I haven't really written anything for my story in quite a while. I want to say it's probably been over a month. I think I haven't really been writing after I do this video for a while because I'm doing an internship for my school and I've had to do this stupid presentation about my internship. So typically I've been working on that, which once again, I really wasn't working on that often. It was like I type up a little tiny thing. I maybe type like a paragraph or a sentence, and then it's like I don't want to do this. I got a ton of time, and I would do little by little when I could have just done it at once. So I typically do a little, and then it's like yeah, I want to play the game, and I wouldn't write my paper or write the story because whenever I take a really long break and it's like I'm about to get back into it, I oddly get kind of intimidated by like just starting up again because it's like I left off somewhere and I know like realistically speaking I know I could just pick it up and I always whenever I do it I always read back a couple of pages to make sure okay is there something that I I guess initiated that I haven't concluded yet or that I want to conclude like within the next couple of pages like even if it's a small little bit of dialogue like hey this random question and then I never have that person ask it again, that would kind of be a fault on my part as far as writing. So I always go back a couple of pages, but sometimes I think about even if I know where I'm at in the story, it's like I don't really want to. I guess it's just being dumb. Like I just don't want to think. I don't want to figure out how I want this story to go right now, and this ties in I think to another video I've done before where it's just like keeping in line and keeping up with your story and keeping it going and finding time to actually do it even when you have the time sometimes you kind of get intimidated and that's kind of why the long breaks really suck when it is something like that because if I never had the schoolwork to begin with, I definitely would have still played some of the games I played on my laptop. But without a doubt, the time I wasn't doing that instead of doing the work that I did, which some days I really did work most of the time, and it would probably be like 10 minutes, and that was sometimes the reason. It was like I haven't written for a couple of weeks because I've been doing either research for whatever I have to type up or just going through stuff I've gone to make sure that it's actually done well. That by the time I finish, I would only have maybe 10, 15 minutes, right? Or even half an hour. And I'd always be like, I don't know if I want to sit here and do that for half an hour because, for one, I would be like stuck, like kind of like I said, intimidated by the stuff I've already done, trying to figure out where do I really want this to go to make it well. And also, even when I do that, it's like I could spend the whole day writing, which I've done before, and I always feel like I barely get anywhere. So I know sometimes when it's like, oh, I only have 10 minutes or so to actually just sit here and focus on my writing, I won't do it because it's like, I could just play a game and enjoy that rather than kind of struggle and try to be like, all right, use the 30 minutes that I have and just like I wouldn't be forcing myself, but it's just like try to get as much done as possible. And in those 10 minutes, even though it would definitely be more than I already have, because I would definitely have written something. It's always just like it wouldn't. It always feels like it just wouldn't be worth it. Like it's not going anywhere or something when I do that because I've had all this time where I haven't, and then I'm trying to kind of get my head back into my own writing, and that's kind of what the long breaks do to me sometimes. Where I'm just like, you know, I work, I do all this other extra stuff, and when I want to get back into my writing, it really stops me. It's just like it's not as entertaining because it's a lot like work. It is something you have to do in your free time, just like these videos, which are much easier because I speak from my mind. It's just off the cuff. There's no script or anything. I just speak and I say how I feel. Whether that's good or bad, you guys would have to decide. But that's what I do. And when I'm writing, I have to be very methodical. For one, I have to know what do I like because it's not as much as it is for other people. The writing I do is because I want to make something that I enjoy. It's like I like this character or this series or something, I want to make this reference at this point in time. I want this character to be based off of this character and maybe have their name, or maybe they say certain things that this character would say, but probably that I think this character would say based on their personality. Stuff like that I have to think about when I'm writing, compared to just playing a game, which is nothing. I just hit some buttons and I get to experience what someone else has already done and enjoy that, rather than, you know, sort of half struggle, half enjoy what I'm doing, and then in the end of it, going like, well, I liked it, but at the same time, I really spent all this time working and stuff, and I only had like 10 minutes devoted to it, and I feel like it went nowhere. It went a page and a half, and or even if it was like 3 to 5 pages, it's like that's really how long it takes sometimes just to have those 5 pages. Like it can take half an hour, especially if you've written so much stuff and you do have to really go back, and depending on how long your story might be, you could have like a stack of books and it's just one big story, and you're like, okay, did I do this, did I do that? And some of you, I'm sure, are much better at keeping track of what you've done, compared to me. I don't even have like a bio for a lot of my characters. I finally started doing that after years, and that's for the story I'm not even currently writing. It's for the other story, and that was just to be like, how old are these people? Because that one really is the book where I actually have 2 full notebooks worth of stuff in that one, and it's like, um, how old is this character? Which character did I give this power to? Because I don't just say like I have super speed and stuff for all the characters, so I keep track of it, and I finally did that, and I still haven't done it for the one I'm currently writing. But you know, stuff like that, you have to just really, really think about what do you want to say, and it's one of those things where you feel like you, even though you did really do something good and something no one else is doing, because it's your actual story, no one, it couldn't possibly get any better or go any further than it already is, unless someone just randomly steals it from you. But odds are it literally cannot do a single thing without you. It still feels like even if you wrote as hard as you could for those 10, 20 minutes, after all that time that I've spent doing other stuff and looking at the notebook and going like, I'm not feeling it right now. Getting back into it, it always feels like I didn't really do much this time, even if it was 30 minutes. If it was an hour or so, I probably would have spent the whole time writing, and I would have gotten like 20 pages out of that maybe, and that would have felt like a lot because it's 20 pages. But if it's like, which would be a rare moment, like I said, with like 10, 15 minutes, I'd probably only get 5. It just depends on where I am, and there are certain parts where I know that, especially when it is one of those parts where it's like I know I'm at this really crucial point where this is like how characters changed, or this is something that's just important for one of the characters, and I know I'd spend most of the time thinking, what do I want them to say, compared to actually creating something. And like I said, it couldn't possibly go anywhere if I didn't do that. So ultimately, it's 100% achievement. It's like guaranteed success. If you put like one sentence in, it's technically 100% success rate that you did something for the story. But like anyone would say, when you're making something, if you spend any amount of time, if you look at it when you're done and you feel like you haven't written nearly as much as you've already written, which is an unfair comparison to look at pages you've written over months compared to what you just wrote in a couple of minutes, and you only have like 2 pages, so compared to everything else, it's enough for a comparison. But you would still feel like you like didn't really waste your time, but like I guess it wasn't worth the time, but not exactly a waste. And it's hard to explain it, but it's like you kind of feel like you weren't really successful in what you were doing, even though you were. And that's what happens to me sometimes when I have these huge gaps in my writing. And that's how I am right now. Like I don't really have the time to even write after this video. And I guess technically I have time, but I'm gonna do another video, and then odds are by the time I finish that one, I really will only have like the 10, 15 minutes, and I want to write, and I might actually do it tonight because, like I said, it's been so long, and I am finally done with that actual work. Because typically, if I wasn't writing, I really was working. Even though I got distracted with games, I should have been distracted with my writing. But that's one of the things. The writing does kind of take the place of work, and it is enjoyable at times. And then there are times like this where it is a long gap, where it could have been only 2 weeks if I was writing or doing work for school. If it was only 2 weeks, I'd go back to it and I'd still feel the same way if I only had a little bit of time. And if I happen to do a different video, like one of my reviews or something, and that for some reason took more time than I would have expected, or I didn't have a bunch of extra time because um, I had to work longer, or I got in later or something, and I wasn't going to stay here as late, then there are just a lot of different factors, and that would still change how I felt about actually writing the story. But I want to get back into it. I'm going to get back into it. That's not like I'm just never going to write again, but it probably won't be tonight either. And I am off tomorrow. I will either be working on my writing, which I of course want to do, or I'll be working on other stuff for the videos, and that's sort of another balance thing, where the long breaks I have, where it was because of me doing work and then playing games instead of me doing work and going to writing, which, as I already said, is actually it is a form of work. With the videos that I do and me trying to actually put myself out on YouTube and try to do something that people really enjoy and do more than just do reviews and stuff, there's a lot to look into. It's like things I want to do for like the video game videos that I hope to do at some point when I figure out all the software and what software I want to use and what's good and things like that. That's the type of stuff that I tend to spend a lot of my time on, because I feel like that'll get me somewhere better. And I don't know, it might not, I don't know, but that's the same type of thing. It's a balance between my writing and doing something creative for myself, and then my videos and doing research on programs and finding all types of different like mics and stuff like that that I can use, and even a better camera, and looking up things. That's time I do actually spend not writing, but it's one of those things, like if I'm not writing, at least I am doing videos, and it feels easier to look up stuff for videos, which just makes longer breaks between my writing. But it's definitely something I have to just get over, but it always happens every time there's a really long break, and then I get back into it, and it's almost like it never happened. But before I start, it's almost like a new school year or something, or like going to work if you have like a part-time job maybe, and it's like for whatever reason you just haven't been scheduled for like weeks on end, and then you go back in and it's like you feel like it's the first time you've gone for some reason, and you feel weird about it. Like, I don't know, maybe you guys don't. I always used to get that though when I had a different part-time job. I used to work at Hollister, and it was some days some weeks I just wouldn't get scheduled, and it would feel like forever, and then I'd get scheduled, and I would just feel weird going in. I'd be like, it feels like it's like my first day all over again or something. But then once I get into it, just like with my writing, it's just, there's no reason to be nervous. It just happens to me automatically. But I'm gonna get into writing, or back into my writing. It probably won't be today, like I said, once I do another video, and this one being as long as it is, which is really unnatural for one of these videos. If you've seen my other ones, I think the longest one I did compared to this probably was my very first video, and even that I think was probably one of my shorter ones, really. But thanks for checking this out. If you have any tips or any comments that you'd like to put down, if you think it would help anyone with any form of creation, doesn't have to just be writing a story. It could be writing, it could be filming, it could be painting if you have that. If for whatever reason you want to put that info here, of course, just put it down below. And thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos if you actually enjoyed this one. I think this one is a bit more passionate. I can be honest about that, because my other videos, sometimes I just have to think of what I want to talk about. But this one was one that I was just, because I haven't written in so long, it's something that kind of bothers me, and it's like I want to get back into it, but at the same time, it's like conflicting ideas in my head. But like I said, comment anything you want to below. You could even say I suck if you want to put that. But thanks for watching the video.